The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Member business associations of the Investors' Council have compiled a letter to the President of the European Commission, Dr. Ursula von der Leyen, on Georgia's membership application to the EU. Let me read this very important letter to you. We're writing to you on behalf of the Georgian Investors' Council, which brings together the biggest business associations in the country, the international financial institutions, and the economically oriented components of the Georgian government. We want to express our strong support for Georgia's application for membership to the EU. No one expected to be at this point. Our horror at the atrocities committed against our Ukrainian brothers and sisters is hard to express. Of course, in Georgia, it has particular resonance as it reminds us of the trauma of Russia's invasion of Georgia in 2008. As a result, the outpouring of support for Ukraine in Georgia has been unparalleled. Clearly, this is a time for unity between all the countries that share the EU values. This unity has been seen in the Western coalition against Russian aggression. This unity should extend to supporting EU candidate status for Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine. Such an action would further demonstrate the EU's resolve and would be a signal to these countries that the EU acknowledges their struggles and supports their goal to remain independent Western democracies. Georgia's Euro-Atlantic aspiration is unequivocal. The Georgian population overwhelmingly supports EU integration and particularly EU membership. This is driven by shared European values, a shared history, and shared hopes for the future. We all understand gaining EU membership candidate status will be the beginning of our work. The negotiations that follow and the conditions that the EU places on membership will provide a significant reform agenda for the country. Georgia can and will rise to the challenge. For many years, Georgia has been the acknowledged frontrunner in terms of association agreement implementation. The Investors' Council has worked intensively on many of these issues over that time, and we pledge to redouble our efforts to fulfill any requirements of full membership. We are sure that this will include profound challenges, but we are certain that the goal of EU membership will drive us to meet them. All three countries need support in their fight for Western values and democracy and their right to choose their own visions for the future. EU candidacy represents a statement of faith in the people of these countries and will support those of us who are optimistic about a democratic, peaceful, and prosperous path forward. We appreciate your consideration and stand ready to assist you in whatever way we can. This is the appeal of the Investors' Council and its member business associations, namely Business Association of Georgia, AmCham, Georgian Chamber of Commerce, UGBC, ICC, German Economic Union, the Georgian and Turkish Businessmen Association, towards the EU to grant Georgia a EU candidate country status.
What prompted business associations and the Investors' Council to address the European Union and ask them for granting candidate status to Georgia?
Okay, well, the Investor Council works on a wide range of business development issues and has done now for many years since it was first formed. And the recent request to gain EU membership status is undoubtedly the most important potential transformation that one has seen in Georgia in this space, certainly in the 20 years that I have been in Georgia, and I would say arguably since independence. So we are super keen, both as people representing business organizations, but also as citizens and friends of Georgia, to try and encourage that Georgia gets this candidate status.
Why is it important not only from the political standpoint, but also from the economic, investment environment, all the other standpoints?
Well, I mean, Georgia's already made great strides since it signed the association agreement in 2015. And prior to that as well, in terms of EU integration and alignment in a wide range of ways. We've seen the way in which this has impacted the economy in terms of the way in which business legislation has been made easier, how it's become easier to export internationally, how we've seen transformations in everything from tourism to energy to agriculture to almost any other area of the Georgian economy you can think of. But EU membership is a huge step forward again. And the main reason for this is that while the association agreement gives us access to the EU market without trade restrictions, and the visa-free travel makes it easier to move back and forth between the countries, there's just something fundamentally different about what being an actual citizen state of the EU will confer. And basically what it translates into is that the world then sees that your country, from both an economic, a political, human rights, and an investment point of view, for example, from all of these points of view, the EU is essentially underwriting that your country is on a democratic, on a market-oriented, on a Western trajectory forevermore. You're locked into a whole range of institutions at that point, which give a huge amount of confidence to anybody who wants to invest in the country, that wants to build a factory here, that wants to come and train people for work in the workforce, or for people who simply want to move here or engage with Georgia in any number of different ways.
To be totally frank and honest, how do you assess how this process has been handled by the government on the other side and by the opposition on the other, given this polarized political environment that we are in? And did the Investors Council, did the business community step in this process to see that they are with the Georgian people, that 80% of whom are for Europe and for bringing Georgia back into the European family?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Investor Council is very, very careful not to get involved in politics. The truth is that we live in a very politically polarized world at the moment. Everywhere you look, one sees this, and it's very difficult to disentangle anything that, from my point of view, ought to be an entirely apolitical issue. I mean, something like EU membership ought to be something that everyone from every side of the side of the political spectrum can agree on. And I think they fundamentally do. I mean, I don't see in Georgia any significant constituency that is opposed to EU membership. But of course, politics is going to be politics, and so we've seen that represented in the way people have engaged on this issue. I like to focus on the fact that ever since Georgia signed the association agreement in 2015, we have seen firmly consistent behavior on the part of everyone involved in the engagement with the EU to actually put forward an integration path. And as a consequence, we've seen Georgia consistently as the best performer of the association agreement countries. So I think while there are often rhetorical challenges and politics can be problematic in the way it helps engagement on issues that I would very much like to see as non-political, if we actually look at the way, particularly on the issues that we engage in, so on business reform issues, there's just no question that we've seen a consistent and extremely strong pro-EU path now for certainly all of the years since we signed the association agreement.
Yes, and that leads me to my last question, and thank you for your time again. What are the expectations? What does business community expect out of this process? I know that no one has the crystal ball right now, but still, what can be derived from the process that we are in? Shall Georgia get the new candidate status?
Well, I mean, Obviously, we hope to get the candidate status, and we'll be very, very disappointed if we don't. The range of the possible obviously comes between something that says candidate status is on the table, but we're not giving it right now for various reasons, and these are the things you have to do, to yes, you're getting candidate status, but also these are the things you have to do to actually become an EU member state. So whatever happens when this letter comes out, obviously we'll be very happy if we get the candidate status and very disappointed if we don't. But either way, there is going to be a well-defined path of work to move forward with. And I think whatever response we get, we have to keep our eye focused on the prize. And that really is one where, I mean, I know that that people have talked about EU member status for EU membership for Georgia for a long time. But it really hasn't been something that's been properly on the table as a realistic possibility before now. The change in the circumstances which has been created by the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been huge. And this opening, whatever the letter says when we get the response from the Commission, will continue to be there. And I think it is really important for all of us to come together as much as we can and push forward to try and take advantage of that opportunity.
No matter what the circumstances, right? Whether Ukraine being locomotive, whether Georgia being one wagon in this process. I mean, anyways, it is really important to seize that moment and grant ourselves this opportunity of Georgia becoming a EU candidate country.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, whatever happens, we need to keep pushing towards that goal. And again, even if we get candidate status, there will inevitably be setbacks. There will inevitably be times when whatever the hurdles are that we have to overcome, it will look very, very difficult. But you know, we're going to have to remain resolute and keep on pushing forward, no matter what challenges may be presented. I'm 100% confident we're up to it. I think Georgia has demonstrated time and time again that when the gauntlet is thrown down, when the opportunity is presented, the Georgian people are ready to step up and achieve the things that are demanded of them. So I'm very optimistic about the path ahead. But obviously we would like to see the candidate status confirmed as a big step in that direction.
Yes, thank you so much. And probably this will also become a booster for a better pace of reforms that we are all anticipating, being it regarding the business environment or regarding the justice reform, all the reforms that are right now on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Walton, so much for your...
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Bye.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.